Hey, hello, welcome to the channel, and this video is about my experience coming out, if you haven't noticed by the title of the video already, and it's because I'm gay. And the thing is that, well, I have always been open about this on my channel. I never had hidden the fact, but I haven't also put flags everywhere. I haven't been like, oh, gay plays video games, because I felt like that will be disrespectful and also be like, you know, marketing my sexuality, things that I don't want. But the things have been a little different for me. I thought that maybe being gay wasn't like a big deal anymore, and that it was very accepted. For the most part, it's more accepted than before, but it's still a long way to go. The thing that made me like really want to do this video was, funny enough, Heartstopper. My sister just showed me this show, even though I said no many times because I thought it was going to be this generic love story. But it was very true to my experiences in many ways. And also I could relate a lot to this guy who was, you know, in his laptop trying to search if he was bisexual or something. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, this might not be a big deal to me anymore, but it's surely a big deal to a lot of people still, and maybe I could try to help them with my experiences. The thing is that my video is maybe going to be a little too heavy for a lot of people. It's no blood there, but it is a lot of hurtful stuff. So yeah, be prepared for that. I'm going to tell you the bad, the good, my experiences with no filters. Let's start. So let's start by telling you a little about myself. I was the lonely shy kid at my school, very introverted. I really didn't make a lot of friends because, well, guys were mostly into hitting the head against a wall and then playing football, and girls were mostly into fashion and, you know, music. I was into video games and nerd media. No one was into that. Sadly, I felt very bad because I couldn't bond with anyone. Until I brought my 3DS to my school. The 3DS being a console from Nintendo that if you put into sleep mode, you could then send your data to other people that had 3DSs with their sleep mode turned on. A Street Pass being a feature where you can send some of your data to other person and they can send their data to you. It's basically just to have like this marketing tool where you could see what other people were playing. But they also had this function where if you Street Pass with someone of them, you can start to send them like personal messages, almost like pen pals. They were short, and you are supposed to give any personal information. But I was very intrigued because I always Street Pass with someone at my school, and it took me around 2 weeks to notice that that person was a guy on the classroom next to mine. He was the same age as I was, and he shared a lot of interests that I had, so it made me very, very happy to meet him. It was very difficult for me to approach because, well, I was introverted, but he was so welcoming to me that I had no issues just connecting with him, just talking, just meeting him and feeling that I just found like a home. And over time, I started to feel some very weird things. When I was near him, I started to feel the butterflies on my stomach. You know, these things that make you nervous and you seem so, just to look at someone with this pink stained glasses. What I mean is that anytime I was nearby him, I just feel so happy, and I didn't understand why. I mostly just told myself this lie about me having this friend, so I was happy to have a best friend. And the reason that I wanted to spend my whole life with him was because I had so much fun with him. But I knew that was a lie. Just looking at his smile made me happy. Looking at his eyes felt like the most beautiful thing in the world. Having to spend time with him made me the most happy in my life that I never felt before. And I noticed that it was much more than friendship, and it made me very, very afraid of knowing or facing my own truths. But I did. I went online, just like this guy on this show, from Herzopper. I started to try to get answers by doing quizzes and foolishly thinking that they would give me any answers. Most of them say that I was gay, but I was in such denial that I just labeled myself as bi. Because in my country, and in that year, at that time, being gay was still such a negative thing. It was a joke. It was an insult. It meant that you were a horrible person and that there were a lot of negative traits associated with you just for being gay. It meant that you will go into these parades and then leave blood-filled condoms on the ground, that you will molest children. It meant that you were full of diseases. It was such a bunch of negative stereotypes thrown to me that I couldn't face the truth, because I felt that if I was this, I would need to be all that too. And I didn't want to also throw this guy into the same bag as I was, because I was slowly but surely understanding that my feelings were romantic, and I wanted to tell him something, but I didn't want to drag him down too. And I remember that over the summer, I wanted to tell him that I felt all these things about him, just to maybe get an answer, and if I was rejected, at least I will also know. But I never did. He changed from school to another one, and sadly, I just never saw him again. Social media was different from now, so it was also impossible for me to find him. And to this day, sometimes I wonder to myself, what would have happened if I told him? But I'll never know, so I don't think I should linger on this. But he was a very nice person to me, and I think it was the very first time that I had these thoughts in my head. But the thing is that, since I couldn't ever tell him how I felt, I never could get an answer either. But I was left with a lot of answers in my head too. I knew how I felt about him, but I didn't know if I was right, if there was a phase, if there was a choice, how I will feel later on in my life, if he was the only person that I liked, if he was the only person that I would like who was also a guy. So I wanted to get answers, but I had nowhere to go to, until I get one very awful idea. One idea that I think I regret to this day. Well then, how did I get answers to myself? I did something very stupid. When I was questioning these things in my head about me being bi and stuff like that, I had this brilliant idea of me going online. Because in my head, if I was found out in my country, I will just be in a horrible state. Everything will be wrong. I was afraid of being outed in my country. And so I just went into the only place where I could find people and talk to people from other countries online. I went into some sites and I started to talk to people. I wanted to understand myself better, I wanted to get answers, and I wanted to understand how other people process this information. I wanted to understand if this was just friendship or whatever. And what happened is that I met a lot of people that I, to this day, never know if they were even real. Anyone can lie on the internet, they can be whoever they say they are, and you will never have the answer because, how are you supposed to know? I started to talk to them, I started to reveal slowly stuff about myself, and they will always want more and more. Some people will just come to me being very nice and then being horrible monsters if I didn't give them what they asked me to give them. Over the time, I started to feel like I was making a mistake. Not by going online, but by refusing them. They made me feel so horrible about the choices I made. So I gave in and did some stupid stuff that to this day I don't think I can forget. It didn't help me at all, and it put me in great danger and risk. I still don't hate meeting all the people I met there, because there was a lot of nice people. There was a lot of people that I could also help, because, well, by helping them, I was helping myself. I gave them answers that I wanted to hear myself. But it was those horrible people that took advantage of me that I will never forget and never forgive. I started to get away from the internet. I didn't want to be used by other people, and I didn't want to feel like the only part of me that matters was my body. And just slowly but surely got away from anyone and everyone I knew in the internet. And it was a very good decision on my part. And it happened that one day when I was on Facebook, because, well, I didn't meet anyone from outside on Facebook. It was only the people around my circle, in my school or my family, that one of my classmates was asking for help for learning English, because, well, in my country, many people don't really care about English, or didn't care back then. Now it's more important than ever. And I am like, yeah, I could help my classmate. Why not? I like English. I love English. So I go to the post, and I'm about to reply, and someone else types, "Oh, I can help you." And I'm like, oh, someone else likes English? I decided the next day to ask my classmate, who also sat next to me, about this person, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he is very nice. He's very much like you." And I'm like, "Oh really, he is? Yeah, I think you two will get along." So I get very interested in talking to this person, mostly so I couldn't have anyone to talk to in English in my country. And I enter his profile, I type hello on DM, and take around 20 minutes to send a message, because I was so afraid of, well, rejection or anything. I just pressed the enter button. I know I am a mess. I was a mess. And just wait. It felt like an eternity, and he just say hello back. And I started to ask him if he really liked English or something. He said yes, and I said, "Oh nice, I do too, because of video games stuff." And he says, "Oh, really? You love video games?" "Yeah." And we started to talk about video games, about English, about stuff that, well, made us closer, because we shared a lot of interests. And it was very nice to meet this person. And I don't remember how, but at one point, he just told me that he was bi. And I was like very surprised by that, by anyone just coming out and being so sure about themselves. So I come out as bi myself to him. And after sending that message, I remember feeling very, very afraid, very, very nervous, very, like, stupid, but because maybe he was just joking, and maybe I was sending something like this, and I don't know, it still was like negative on my head. But instead of that, he was very welcoming to me, so we started to talk like almost daily. It was very fun. We mostly just talked for fun. We were talking about real life issues and stuff, about being, bi and stuff. Until one day he wanted to come to my school just to meet me in real life. And so he did. And when he did, the next day he just started to act very coldly. And I felt very badly, because I thought maybe I did something wrong. I felt that I was just messing things up with him. I started to blame myself for a lot of stuff that just happened then. Now I understand that I just should have left I still don't know why he just changed so much, but I never should have put the weight of knowing, understanding why he was abusing me like he was, acting so distant, so cold, insulting me in public, and being so horrible to me. But that conversation that I had with him on Facebook, well, it led to something really, really nice. Something I will tell you right now. So yeah, me and my mom and I, we both shared a laptop. And the thing is that when I was talking to this previous guy, I left one of those days my Facebook open. The same day I was talking about me being bi. And later on that day, I came back from my school and I noticed my mom just acting very differently. She was nervous and a little cold, and I was really not thinking much about that. I thought that maybe she had one issue, but I wanted to talk to her the next day because it was very late, and maybe if it's something about work, she could still process it like over the night, and maybe we could just talk the next day. So next day is Saturday, and I remember my mom coming to my room and saying to me if I need to tell her anything. And I feel like I was doing something wrong, so I am afraid, and I tell her no, I don't think I did anything wrong. And she says, well, I do need to tell you something. You left your Facebook open the other day, and I just, over that exact same moment, froze with fear and anxiety. I still remember that feeling. It was horrible. And she told me, so you need to tell me anything. I told her if she saw anything there, and she said that there was one conversation open, and the conversation had the words that if my mom found out about me being bi, she will kill me. And she starts to cry, and I just go there and give her a hug and tell her that I just really didn't mean that. It's just that I was very afraid to tell her anything about this, because I am very afraid too. And we both decided just to go for some hamburgers on McDonald's, and on the trip on the car, we start to talk. She starts to ask me questions about how I found out, if I will ever just go and be straight again. And I told her that I like this guy, and I noticed over the years that I did like other guys, and that I found girls pretty. She asked me how I knew that I like this guy, and I told her, well, how do you know that you like guys too? And she was like, oh, that's different because I am a girl, so I'm supposed to like guys. And I'm like, well, I'm a guy, but I like guys. It's not something about, well, what I am meant to do, but what I feel. And she starts to understand me over the trip. She asked me questions, and I gave her answers. And she did have these misconceptions about homosexuality that the TV just gave her the same way it gave to me. But over the trip, she started to understand that we are just people, and what we do and what we decide to do after the fact that we like people of the same sex is up to us. So she very easily just starts to understand and accept me for who I am. She did think over time that maybe I would go into drag or some stuff like that. I was like, no, I don't hate that thing, but that's that kind of thing, but that's just not who I am. And she still over time thought that I was like the gay best friend. But yeah, it took her about 2 years to understand that I was the same person that she always they always knew me as just with new information about myself. I think I got very lucky because a lot of people that I met over the years didn't have the same luck that I had. And I still appreciate that my mother just took it so well, and she supported me even though in my head at that moment, it was something so overwhelmingly negative. Thank you, Mom. So after telling my mother, I felt such a huge sensation of relief that it made me more confident in what I was. I was accepting myself. And it happened that in that year, I started to meet one girl that I became very close friends with, or so I thought. I thought that I could also trust in her and tell her my secret. But it was, I think, a mistake. Trusting her? Yeah. But what happened after? It was very nice. I told her that I was gay, and the next day, I remember one girl from my class just coming to me and being like, "You should be more careful with who you tell stuff. There's this girl around just telling everyone that you're gay." And I'm like, I am. And she's like, "Yeah, I know, but I want you to be more careful because there's people out there that might not be so nice to you." And I remember being very afraid, very enraged, and also very scared. No one did anything bad to me. Girls started to try to go to me and be my friend because they thought that, well, since I was gay and was going to be like this super fun gay best friend. No. And guys were like accepting of me, but also were like confused. So most of them were like coming to me with this idea of maybe I was into them, and they were like, "Oh, we have no issue with you being gay, but don't make any deal with us because we like girls, so so don't fall in love with us, just telling you." And I was like, "No, don't worry, I don't like you." And then they would just take offense to that statement. I felt relief to know that people will accept me and that people were just changing, because 2 or 3 years ago from that time, at that point of time, it would have been such a huge issue, and maybe I will have been expelled from my school just because people were really like outraged. They will be talking to the mother and stuff. But the other thing that helped me a lot, it was that I was such low profile in my school that no one knew who I was. So I was very lucky also not to be like this huge figure which everyone will just try to target and try to take down. And the people that was in my class did appreciate me a lot, so they were really understanding and very caring for me. And I feel really thankful for them accepting me, helping me accept who I was. But also because of that, I started to get a little more daring with trying to meet people, because in my head there was nothing negative with this. And over the time, well, I understood finally that I was full gay, because I noticed that I was just in denial. I was just telling myself that I was bi because I didn't want to face the full truth. It's not me saying that all the bi people are not facing the truth. It's just that for me, it was not the case. It was just me trying to shield me from the full truth, because it felt like a half blow instead of just a full blow. And I know this might sound like something that is positive, like, oh, we should throw our friends out of the closet too. No, don't do that. I was very lucky. Many people is not lucky. Many people face bullying, face a lot of troubles after that. And I just had some nice people in my life who accepted me for who I was. but there's a lot of people that is not as lucky as I am. And not just that, it feels very disrespectful and very sad to trust in someone and have that trust broken and being thrown out of your own sexuality closet just because other people were trying to make a gossip out of it. It's not nice, so please respect other people's privacy, and if you want to help, let them know that it's okay to be themselves. Do not throw them out of the closet. It's not okay. So what then? I felt like I was being accepted after being outed by this stupid girl, and my mom knew. So I just wanted to meet people, but I didn't know where, because, well, meeting people that was like me was like 1 in a million chance. People might be like me, but they also didn't want to tell everyone, so where can I find anyone? And my stupid conclusion was to go into dating apps, Grindr and Tinder. Grindr was mostly for hookups, but I didn't know at the time. Now it's mostly for dealing with and drugs. Back then it was mostly horny people. It was full of men just with pictures of their asses and their bulges, nothing else. And I was like very confused because I thought that, I don't know, I could meet other people like me, I could maybe make friends. But no, most of the people there were like just horny, and they would lie to you just to try to live with you. But it was very obvious. They were like either just sending stuff all the time or being asking you all the time like, oh, have you done this? Have you done this? So yeah, I just left it up. What then? Tinder. I was on Tinder and I got a lot of matches, but no one talked back to me. And I started to realize that there was still a lot of people that was afraid because they were in the same position I was. They were like with this negative stigma of what was being gay, and they had a lot of people in their circle that they didn't want them to know that they were this, because for them it was still something scary. And I respected that they didn't want to have the other people know about them, but I didn't like being like shoved aside or being used for pleasure just because they weren't ready to get out, and they weren't really honest about that. Most of the time they just try to do something and then being like, oh no, nothing happened, you are delusional and stuff like that. And it's like very horrible for your mental state to feel like you are being basically used for this stuff. But whatever. Let's go to the worst part. I actually met someone that has a lot in common with me. Well, video games, interests, stuff like that. But he had a lot of red flags that I didn't read, because I never had a relationship before, and no one even told me about how a relationship works, so I just gave him a chance. He was 21, I was 18, he liked a lot of stuff that I liked, and the thing is that he was very nice to me, and he was very protective of me too. But he was a little too overprotective, to the point he didn't want me to talk to other people. I thought it was cute at the moment, because, well, I didn't know any better. He also would send me messages, and if I didn't respond in 10 or less than 10 minutes, he would get very mad and start to call me a lot, like a lot of times. Well, what happened is that after 2 months of us dating, he started to become very cold. And I did have one friend that I met in one of the apps. He was very nice to me at that moment. So when he became cold and distant, I will talk to him and he was like, oh, don't worry, it must be like something that is just, on his head. It must not mean that it's you. But I still was very confused, and I wanted him to be, good. And the thing is that I started to ask him if he was okay, if I could help him, and he started to insult me and just blocked me. And I was very confused. I was like, what happened? Why is he like this? So I just give him some time because I think maybe he will just come around and talk to me back and we will just solve this thing. But at the same time, I was so overwhelmed by sadness that I talked to my friend again and he listens to me. And then out of curiosity, I asked my friend if he is seeing anyone, and he says yes. And I asked him what's his name, and his name was the same name of my boyfriend. I tell him that we should both send a picture of the person that we are dating at the same time. 3, 2, 1. It was the same dude. We were both very mad. And I remember that we bonded over that, like friends. And the next day we are supposed to go outside and just take ice cream and just talk to feel better after this guy just manipulated both of us. But the thing is, when I go to the place that we are supposed to meet, he was there, my friend, kissing my ex-boyfriend. In my face, looking at me. You don't know the sheer panic and horror I felt. The betrayal. I ran away. And just felt like shit. And I remember that I still was talking to someone that I met as friends on one of the apps. My boyfriend knew, by the way. And the thing is that he was asking me if I was alright because, well, we usually talk like once every week and I wasn't answering anything for over 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't really feel well because I was so overwhelmed with sadness and all those negative feelings I had that I just felt so many negative stuff, that I was wrong, that I was guilty of something. I started to blame myself for so many things. I started to ask why, if I wasn't enough. And he said that we should talk in real life, in one place that he said, and in a park. And I just wanted someone to tell me everything was going to be okay and maybe help me feel better. And I went to this park just to meet this guy. And we talked and we talked. After that, he gave me a hug and I was like, oh, he's a nice person. He's a nice friend. He grabs my ass. He doesn't let go even though I tell him to stop because I don't want anything. I push him aside and he says, oh, don't be like that. Come to my house. I'm like, no, I don't want anything. So I just go to the nearest bus station to go away. And he chases me, insulting me, calling me a bitch, a horrible person, and someone that no one ever will love. He told me that he would follow me and he would tell everyone that I was a slut. He told me that he was going to out me to everyone. I told him I don't care, that I wanted him to just leave me alone. I took the bus and never saw him again. To this day, I don't understand those people. I don't understand how they can be so freaking evil. But those experiences made me incredibly depressed, even more than before. It was very hard for me to understand if this was people just being like this because, well, if everyone was like this in the gay community. I knew the answer was no, but I was starting to have second guesses. And you know the answer? The answer is no. Those people were just shitty. I had very bad luck, but I also wanted to meet people that was worth people that was worth it. I just went to the wrong place, the worst place, as always. Even then, I think I learned a lot of valuable lessons from this thing. I learned not to tolerate these horrible behaviors, to see red flags, and I learned to take better care of myself. And I still feel that I would have been better if I haven't ever met these guys. But at the same time, I am happy that I just learned, I moved on, become stronger. Always becoming stronger from every single negative experience I have in my life. It made me the person I am today. It made me become stronger enough to overcome my shyness or me being an introvert. It made me want to go outside and meet the people that is truly worth it, instead of defining myself by the people that wasn't worth it and damaged me. And I think that leads to a lot of lessons that I have learned over the years by being who I was. Lessons that I will tell you right now. So I want to end the video by telling you what I learned about this. With this. Many times I hated myself. I hated who I was. I hated what I had in myself, being gay. I felt inadequate. I felt like a joke, like a monster, like a mistake. Many people told me that I shouldn't have existed. I was told so many horrible things that I was. But you know what I learned? Is that I alone define who I am. That I know better than they do who I am. I learned about being authentic, even though I might be in adversity and maybe people might not love who I am. The people that are really matters will love with all their heart who I am, so never lie. I learned not to be sad when our relationship doesn't work, and instead to learn from that and become better. Not to try to force it to work either, but to let go. I learned that I can help other people with these issues, to understand themselves a little better. And that's mainly the reason that I wanted to do this video, because I wanted people to understand that they don't have to be afraid of who they are, that it may take years, maybe a decade or two, but you can get away from toxic places. You can find people that truly will love who you are. So don't be afraid, be strong, because somewhere there's people that will love you for who you are. So don't give up on yourself, because of the people out there won't give up on you. Thank you. I hope you always think about that.